Good afternoon. This is my persuasive presentation, and it's on federally controlled lands in the western states. We have a federal government that's currently doing a land grab and trying to control most of the open land in western states to either limit the natural resources or control from preventing people hunting and utilizing the land to save what they think is endangered species. With Nevada being the highest rating by percentage at 84.5% of the state is being controlled by the federal government. Alaska is second at 69.1%. Utah is third at 57.4%, and Oregon is 53.1%. Idaho is at 50.2%. Those are the top 5 western states that are owned by the federal government. It is my belief, being from Utah, that the federal lands that are being controlled by the federal government would be better controlled and managed by the local and state level governments. The resources and the revenue produced from those properties should go directly to the states, whereas the federal government is not paying what it should be by law to the states for those federally controlled lands. Western lands, we should have the right to regulate what we do with the land and what we allow the land to be used for, whether it's agriculture, sporting events and outdoor recreation, or agriculture and farming, all of which is good for that state. And people in the East that don't live in those states or very seldom participate in any activities in those states really should not have a large say or equal say as to what goes on in these states. The eastern states are not controlled as much as western states. They don't have the military reservations, which I can understand. The military does need large sections of land to do their training. But other than that, I believe that those lands should be paid for, and the money should go to the state to support its residents and its needs, not to the whole United States. Some of the useful uses that the federal lands could be used for is wild horses preservation and burros. Both of those animals do need a wide area to range in, and Utah, Nevada, and Idaho have some of the largest herds of wild horses in the nation. I have adopted a wild horse before, and they are outstanding horses. They're not large, but they have a lot of power and drive in them. So they would be a good horse if you lived out in the West to go up in the mountains and do as you would like. This is one of the areas that the federal land could be used for, but not just set aside for endangered species that don't help really anybody. And they're not that big of an issue. There's more land where they are at than what is the need for the federal government to utilize. And with the wild horses and burros that are being utilized, we also need to understand the management prospects of these. Some people want to take these wild horses and use them for beef or meat products, either for animal food or sell in Europe. This is not what the federal lands should be utilized for, nor would I condone this type of practice. But it is something that some people would like to see, is that the federal government would allow these animals to be slaughtered rather than adopted out to prospective owners. Another thing that I feel is the natural resources, whether it's coal, oil, natural gas, or the lumber industry. Any profits made off the federal lands should stay within those states where those revenues were produced. There again, the states would have better choice of how these revenues are spent, and since they are not receiving a tax revenue from these properties, that should be returned back to that state for revenue going into the states for schools, highways, state, county, and local municipalities for their infrastructure to keep going. It is also my firm belief that the federal government has stretched out too far to grab too much land, and it's mismanaged. That's what my presentation is federal land grabs and federally controlled lands within the western states. I look forward to your feedback, and you guys have a good day. Bye.